How you doing? So we're here for another rousing weekend at the River House. Currently we're in the crosshairs of yet another frigid blast. Been working on some stuff. You notice I've got over $100 worth of styrofoam sheets here. More about that in a sec. But what is on the agenda is to go up and continue. You really can't tell it because it's not blue. It's that old stuff I inherited from my grandfather. But continue putting the foam boards up inside the rafters. That way, you know, wood is what? This is fir, so 1.4 R per inch. Right, so on top of the bottom chords of the trusses, you got 3.5. So there's like R8, R9 in there. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, R7. I'm cutting styrofoam strips. I'm doing it 11.5. That way I get 4 of them out of a single sheet. I wonder if I could go like 8 inches. Anyways, I'm cutting styrofoam strips, and then I'm putting them inside the chords of the trusses. One, it'll give me something for my insulation to push against, help keep it up in there, and two, it'll mean that there isn't a break in that insulation. I will have a continuous run of stuff all the way up. At least that's the idea. That's what we're working on. First, though, you know, when a feller puts 5 sheets, $100 worth of foam in the back of his pickup on a windy day, he doesn't want to lose it. So since I had to swing by the school anyways, guess who's getting evaluated? So I had to fill out my evaluation forms. That's normal, by the way. I didn't like do anything. Although if you don't do anything, you get evaluated for that too. Anyways, I swung by the school and I was hoping for a couple of ratty old pallets. I don't know, a broken school desk, just something, because I didn't have any way to tie it down. Couldn't get straps in it because it dished down. Anyways, just something I can hold it. And I came across, hey, a heavy-duty folding library table. A little broken, but not so broken this fella can't fix it. Of course, I am consummate scrounge there. And what a perfect workbench. It's actually a shame to beat up the top of it, but it weighs like 700-800 pounds all by itself here. You know, anytime you've got bridge gusseting welded into a table, you know it's good. So I'm going to go ahead and patch that back together, and I just inherited myself a prime insulation cutting table. See, wind's blowing my smoke backwards. Dang it. Anyways, get this fixed and I can cut up my insulation boards on top of it. Fantastic. Anyways, that's where we're at. You're on Elderly Iron's camera. This is me. Let's get on with it. Alright, we're set up. There's my raw material. And I pack it up and around like a hobbit squirrel in his little runs, and then I'll do that section over there. The way I've been attaching them, I know, is with polyurethane glue. And so I've tried anything I can think of in order to get it to stay up there. Anything except, well, I ran out of staples with staple guns, so I thought maybe I could staple cardboard on either side of the rafter or something like that and hold it in place that way. But I have a template, which I hope I haven't discarded. And I believe it's right there. I have a template, which is this first run of this first rafter. And then I score it to match the end, and I score to match the other end, and then usually I cut a hunk out of the middle. Or rather, I use 2 pieces and then they overlap, and then I stick the next little piece down, and yada yada. But I got all this done, and it took a lot longer than I would like to admit, but I got all that done. Good Lord, look at that stove. That the storm is coming in, and even though I've got the elbow on the side of it, whichever direction the wind is coming from, it keeps kicking everything back up the stove and overpowering the draft. I wonder if I close down the damper or something, because yeah, not cool stove. Anyways, my goal today is to just go until I run out of this stuff. This is the stuff I inherited from my grandfather rather. It was under the floor in his barn, and when he passed, we salvaged all the plywood, used them as forms here, and salvaged all of that. It's got like mice and doo-doo and pee and rat droppings. I was going to use it on the downstairs walls in the basement, but it needs to be up here and sealed up. You know, and the ants. It was that foam that carpenter ants eat. Again, this is a perfect use for it. It's probably unnecessarily anal retentive of me of doing this in the first place. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Good Lord. Well, the wall's not moving. God, this is slow. My goodness, I've got that first bay done, and then almost all of the little cutout cookie pieces. This is all going to be R60, so the combined height with my foam and my wood needs to be just over 14 inches. So slow. It is so slow. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. So we're up doing the long bays all the way to right there. I'm down to 2.5 sheets of foam, so bare minimum this is like another $200, $300 worth of foam. It's blowing like a crazy sun gun. And I guess we're expecting temps. I just saw a news warning come across. We're expecting temps down to minus 30. I can still feel the house shake. Yeah, all day. All day. And I still got to come across here in the center, although they don't have to be super thick. I am completely out of Gorilla Glue. My students are going to comment on how nasty my hands look. I am now down to using strips of cardboard and staples, which does seem to work. It does seem to work. It's slow, but it does seem to work. I mean, I don't know that it needs to be glued in there, right? The issue is when I stuff the insulation in, it's just going to punch this stuff out the sides, unless it's held in somehow. It's 8 o'clock, making it a 12-hour day. Granted, I spent the first hour and a half of that, like I said, working on my evaluation stuff. I don't know. I mean, I got a sheet of plywood as a strong back in there, and it's sheets of plywood in this wall down in here, but it's pretty thin stuff. I'm trying to think if it'd be worthwhile to, I don't know how much is too much, right? And these windows are flapping like sails, and so they hit wham, and I'm sure that's shaking way more than, you know, if it couldn't. It's like a wind-up wind punch. I have a science toolkit thing on my phone, and I turned the accelerometer one on, and you could actually watch the, every time the windows pump, it you can see it in the accelerometer. And the old ash cheek accelerometer, when sitting in the attic stair hole there with your feet off of the rolling scaffolding, you could feel it in your butt. When you walk around, you can't feel it. I could put angle bracing up on top, but it's going to make insulating it way more complicated. If I put angle bracing in this wall, it'll just be in that wall. So I'm thinking that might be, you can hear Gus coming. I'm thinking that might be the winner. I put the rest of the hurricane clips on out through into there on that side, and I got the hurricane clips on here to the bathroom wall. So there's the main culprit. When this one hammers, you can feel it. But anyways, I'm going home. I'm going home and try to think about whether this is worth me worrying about. See you tomorrow. Whoa! So we're back. Well, yeah. Got a bit of a breeze. Steam engine's lit and smoking. So in the back of my pickup is $280 worth of styrofoam sheets. It won't be enough, bringing the total of this insane endeavor to over $400 now. Oh! Anyways, the fam's gonna come this time out because I think I can put them to work on sawing out all my little jigs and jogs while I put up the big ones, and that'll definitely speed things up. I only bought 10 sheets because, yeah, that's the money I had for it right now. It will be enough to finish this. In fact, finishing this side is probably the work of 3, 4 of those sheets, and then the other side. But oh yeah, she puffed at me and I missed it. There it is. Nothing but quality. Anyways, we're gonna get on that. Stay tuned. I won't film any of it. It's literally me. So I go up, I measure, I come down, I cut, I go up, I cut, I come down, I move the scaffolding, and repeat. So just picture me doing that like 70, 80 times an hour. That's a little much. 30 times an hour all day long. In my underwear if you want to, because I know you. Oh, I tried using cardboard strips to hold it in place. It works. It takes so much longer than the glue. It just looks rinky-dink as hell, even though it's all going to be covered by insulation. So I got another bottle of glue, and we got this up through here. We got out through there to where I have to, I think, remake this scaffolding. It's just, even by my standards, it's sketchy. Anyways, I've been up and down scaffolding a gazillion times today, so I just heard the wife drive off. I think I only put in about 8 hours. Won't get this done if I keep doing that. Guess I made up for it yesterday. They averaged out to like 9.5, 10. Got some up in there. Keep on it. I gotta get Lowe's to call me back on the insulation order, because they're the cheapest place I can get it right now. So I'll call and harass them on Monday. Just someone take my money, you know? And then at least I'm on the list. Alright, we'll see what we get done tomorrow. Ooh. It's chilly one this morning. There's supposed to be the first big, possibly only, freeze on its way here, where we're going to see maybe in this area -10 to -20 Fahrenheit. Anyways, I'm here by myself because it's cold, and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to work on what I can work on and put up what I can put up. I still have to wrestle with those. I mean, it seems to me the vapor barrier must be just below the insulation, right? So if I insulate nothing but the upper trusses, somehow I've got to get a vapor barrier woven in between. It'll be full of holes. If I drop down and insulate the ceilings in the bathroom, then I've got a lot more essentially vertical outside wall than I was expecting. Either way, I'll figure it out later. So, last few days driving in, there was this big pile of crap in the road. Well, in the ditch. I've been there for a few days, all silver and shiny, and it irritated me. So last night on the drive home, I just stopped because I was going to pick it up. To hell with it. Well, it turns out somebody had lost a brand new box of R8, I think 7-inch ducting, 6-inch ducting, a brand new box of R8 6-inch ducting. It's like a $50 bill found on the ground. I feel bad because I'm sure they really missed it when they got where they were going. I got it stretched out because it got wet here. I'm sure they really missed it where they got where they were going, but it was there for a minimum of 2 full days, and judging how wet it is, I think it's been there for longer than that. So, probably driving back from Missoula, you got a 90-mile trip. She could have been gone anywhere in that 90 miles. I wouldn't have gone looking for it either, probably. So, I guess that's just a perk for me. And sorry about them or whatnot, but I'm going to need a crap ton of that stuff. So, yes please. Yes please, yes please. God, it's cold in here today. Alright, let's get on this. Okay. Hear me out. Group consensus question. If you made it this far in the video, clearly you're emotionally invested. My thought was that we would do propane primary heat, wood backup. So, propane is coming. It's a byproduct of oil drilling or refining natural gas. But essentially it is natural gas. If we're going to move away from petroleum-based stuff, and opinions about that, I think much like heating with coal, much like heating with coal, I suspect that's a reality. It is my own opinion's irrelevant. It's not the direction we're going anymore. So here's my thought. If 20 years from now we aren't going to have nearly as much petroleum-based vehicles on the road, then they'll be extracting far less oil. Scarcity causes value. I'm wondering if I could expect the price of propane to start climbing. The issue here is I keep going back and forth to the idea of electric heat, which is very taboo in my family. But there's all these pipe dreams of, someday affording a windmill on the hill, or I got that water spring up on top, and being able to dump in some alternative energy. And 40 years from now, the conceivable lifespan of 50 years from now, the conceivable lifespan of my time in this house, who knows what technology will be there. So I guess the question I'm asking, if you take a step back, it's very easy to say, well, shit, they'll always mine oil, there'll always be propane. Those things are probably true, but it's all based on quantity. And if the quantity is going to go down, then we all know that this glory period of cheap gasoline and diesel is going to wane as we move on to other things, and there'll be fewer and fewer people drilling that stuff, and it will then start to climb up. Should I do electric? It would be way cheaper, way easier, a little more expensive per year, perhaps, but then I've, in theory, insulated the hell out of this place. But then I also have walls of glass, right? Anyways, I'm gathering thoughts, and obviously my gut reaction is whatever's cheapest. Propane is cheaper. If I was looking at heating my house in town with electricity, propane would be cheaper by $500-600 a year. But if I'm looking at heating my house 40 years from now, the price for producing electricity is going down. It's just plummeting, and it's never going to go back up again. It's something to think about. Opinions. My goal is to keep a nice toasty warm fire burning in the wood stove all winter long, and I could turn the heat just basically off in a lot of rooms, or down to 50 or 55 or something. I could hire somebody to do it, but I don't, an installed furnace system, it'd be like 25 grand. Anyways, cadet heaters sure sound easy, and if 20 years from now, if production of electricity simply continues down with solar, wind, and hydro, and I live very close to all three of those, would I be better off with electricity? Thoughts? I am going to have to, as probably all of you knew when I said it minutes ago in a video, which I actually did yesterday, I'm going to have to do the ceilings, these drop ceilings, in the rooms that have them. So that's just a thing that's going to have to happen, which means the upper part of that wall, and there'll be a lot of heat behind it because that wood stove's out there. I have a fan blowing it back down, but a lot of heat behind it. That's now an outside wall. This is now an outside wall, and that is now an outside wall. So I'm going to have to You know, I've got R30. I've got R30 in my current outside walls, but they're a double stud bay, so there's no thermal bridging. So I got to put R30 in these. I guess I could just stick strips of foam. I'm only hanging insulation. Big screws? I don't know. Anyways, I teach history. I'm still learning. Gorgeous. Well, that's it. As is always on Sunday, I got to go back to work. Teacher's life for me. So I've got the bottom run all the way across. These with the vaulted ceiling continue all the way up. Those are truncated at 4 feet because that insulation is going to drop down, and I'm still not entirely sure how I'll get it to lay in there, or do I have to lay styrofoam in between the sheets to keep the spacing right. We'll get that figured out. I've been mulling over that question that I asked you guys, well, I suppose literally minutes ago, but for me it was about 4 hours ago. Mulling over since lunch. And it was all kind of prompted by finding that heat duct. I don't know what the answer is. I know that electricity is just going to get cheaper. Ugh, got the lumpy face again. I know it's just going to get cheaper. But will the price drop for us? Anyways, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Overall, I got this center wall here. I got the ceiling sheeting up, the envelope sheeting up there. Here I used those chalkboards, and the only can of spray foam I had left to seal the chalkboards on the edges. By far that was faster. The other one's a lot cheaper. And then numbnuts here. Forgot he had to do it to this bay here as well. So now that the foam is up there, I gotta wait for the Gorilla Glue to dry, or I'll just be more of a sticky mess than I am. Have to wear it off my hands. Anyways, like I said, I'm done. I got some thinking to do. You know, are we at the stage of the Betamax? Hell, at this point, are we at the stage of the VCR? There'll always be probably electricity, depending on how we generate it. I don't know. I'll go home. The U.S. government's got those sites where you enter in the size of your house and all of that, and it lets you calculate up electric heating costs. My insulation is quite a bit higher than the costs or the insulation in their calculators, but I can probably account for that. Maybe I'll run a cost analysis. I know that it's more. I'll have to find out how much more it is. You know, it's kind of like the difference between putting in R45 and R60 in my ceilings. The payoff for the expense, and I was getting a deal on the 2 layers R30, I was getting a deal on that, but the payoff was 40 years in energy savings. So, no thanks, I'll be fine. What was I saying? But anyways, what I don't know is, of course, future energy costs and future propane costs. But it's a wonderful speculative thing. Man, I wish I hadn't forgotten to seal up that. I did there exactly what I did here. I completely forgot to do all of it, and I just blindly continued on. But anyways, I cut up a lot of my sheets. I believe I'm down to 4 sheets and 3 strips, which at this point is more than I need. Of course, if up there where I go into the flats I have to put insulation between them to keep my spacing correct, then I won't actually have enough. I won't actually have enough to do that. And I haven't yet figured out I can stick, because this up here is now going to be in effect an outside wall. I can get R15 in all of these front bays right up here. That's a no big deal situation. But I'm not sure how to stick the other insulation on the other side. I'm just not sure. My primary goal would be to run one insulation one way and one insulation another. So could I strip that? I don't know. That's a thinking thing. I can already feel the ache in my fingers and my hands. The temperature outside must be plummeting as we get close to that big weather event. So I'm going home. I got work to do at my job, and so I'm out of here. Thanks for watching.